And good morning, Birds fans. This would be Birds 365, where we come to talk Eagles football on an almost daily basis. Yeah, they give us the weekends off, but we're thinking Birds. I can pretty much assure you that on Saturdays and Sundays, too. I am Jody McDonald. He would be my partner, John McMullen. How are you this morning, Mr. Mac?
Doing well. A little fired up, Jody.
A little fired up. Why would you be fired up?
I got in a little, Twitter, I should go Shander's route, Eitan Shander, tuned into the middle, by the way, here on JAKIB Media. He points out the absurdity of Twitter.
Absurdity? I got to tell you, Jody. What? Yeah. Twitter is absurd? Yeah. Are you trying to tell me Twitter is absurd?
I am trying to tell you that. Now, I'm not going to go as far as Eitan. Eitan gets into the conspiracies, the algorithms, and all that nonsense. He's got the foil hat. I'm not going to go that far. I'm just trying to enjoy my night. I see there's going to be a potential historic no-hitter in Major League Baseball, the first in 24 hours, I believe.
Yes.
But, as I was explaining to you off air, I'm an old school guy. If I hear a no-hitters going on, I want to see the end. And it was Corey Kluber, see if he could finish it out. He did. But in between, with the launch angles, nobody puts the ball in play. You're a big baseball guy. Baseball's not as fun. I used to be a huge baseball guy. I am really depressed on the way that sport has gone, the direction it's gone in. But that's a whole nother show. Maybe we'll get another show to talk about that.
Gotcha.
So I'm on Twitter in between, trying to watch the game. And I'll say, well, I'll engage. There's this sort of pseudo personnel guy I always go back and forth with, really intelligent. And I mentioned, Andre Dillard, because the Eagles made a move at left tackle yesterday, not left tackle, swing tackle. They brought in LaRaven Clark, who's, a backup player, but you start thinking the wheels start going. What's going on here? And I've mentioned in the past, and we're going to have a trenches day today on the show with Barrett Brooks and Hollis Thomas. So we got both sides of the football. But, what does this mean? I'm trying to figure out. And it certainly looks, and it could be just like a Tim Tebow. And by the way, happy Tim Tebow. I'm going all over the place. He finally signed with Jacksonville.
Ooh.
It might just be, Clark is coming off a torn Achilles. He's got a relationship with Nick Sirianni. Maybe he's just doing him a solid, bringing him in on the 90-man bloated offseason roster, saying, okay, maybe you can open the eyes of somebody else. But on paper, it doesn't look like the Eagles need a tackle unless they're thinking about trading Andre Dillard. And then I went down the road of, I still think Andre is going to be the better player long-term than Jordan Mailata. Oh, Jody, I broke the fourth wall. I'm insane.
You're going to crush.
Oh, my God. This poor kid, he was going to be the starting left tackle last year. No questions about it. And he tore his biceps. Look, we know the stuff in the first year. The picture of him crying on the field, which these people will not let die. And it's I can tell you inside, they don't give a you-know-what about that. That is long. That is water under the bridge. Now, they were legitimately upset about him not sort of trying to fight through the move to right tackle. That was like a big thing in the organization. They would have preferred, because you look over the years, Halapula Bati, even Matt Pryor, who had to play left tackle, he's more comfortable on the right. They don't like movement either, Jody, but they fight through it. Right. And it's ugly at times, but they fight through it. And that's what they wanted to see from Andre Dillard. So by no means am I saying this guy's going to be a star. This guy's definitive. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Jordan Mailata. Jeff Stoutland has talked to me a bunch about his natural ability as a pass protector. He's got to get stronger. We got to see if he's done that. All that kind of stuff. You add in all the context. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. They have closed the book on this poor guy. And I mentioned it with Nate Gary the other day. There's certain players that they just pull the plug on, and they're done. They're dead. And there's other players, you brought up, one of them yesterday, Greg Ward. And I know you want to get into that at some point. I mean, there's certain players they love. And if you say anything bad about you are a lunatic. I don't get it. And I tell these people, and I'm telling them right now on everywhere, go to Eagles.com if you want smoke blown up your ass, because we're not going to do it here. We're going to tell you the truth. There it is, Joe.
I appreciate the fact that you're starting us off with a little emotion today, J-Mac. Thank you very much for that. And I have learned, I spend way too much time on Twitter every day. I honestly do. And it almost should be like eating too much sugar. I should know when to pull back, and I don't. And shame on me for that. But the one thing that I have learned is don't engage.
Yeah,
I just if I tweet and somebody responds to me, okay, fine, that's your opinion. I already stated my opinion. If you don't like it, what can I do? I don't grab the keyboard again and start the back and forth, because yes, that's a rabbit hole you don't need to go down. You don't want to go down. I'll say a couple times a month, somebody will say something so outrageous or so blatantly wrong that I'll feel the need to correct them on Twitter that I didn't say that. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Maybe twice a month. That's it. Because if I wanted to do it on a day in, day out basis, every time somebody disagreed with something or responded to something that I said or tweeted, I'd never get off Twitter. I wouldn't have time to do Birds 365 or any of my radio shows. No shot, no chance.
Yeah, it's definitely my fault. And at the end, you just mute the person. That's why. Why did I spend 20 minutes going back and forth with some moron with 15 followers? I don't know. Sometimes, and I blame the game because I'm like, okay, you're trying to do something in between pitches. We got the short attention span culture. You're right. You just got to put the phone down. Twitter isn't paying me. Birds 365 is paying me.
Right.
Billy Boys Sports Illustrated. And then you get these people like, you don't put something, you don't break news on Twitter. Well, guess what? Twitter's not paying me. The other people are paying me. So we got to save stuff for them.
Couldn't agree with you more that way. That's why I don't tweet that much. I can sit here and tweet stuff out all day, but no. I get paid for my opinion, and I'm going to give it to the people who pay me, not the people who don't pay me, like you guys out there on Twitter. So I don't tweet all that much, but I do pay attention to what's going on Twitter on a day in, day out basis. But I have trained myself not to engage, to just take it in, smile, laugh, roll my eyes, rather than grab that keyboard. And
I got to get to that point, Jody. See, Zen. I always say the smartest people in the world know what they don't know. And I know that, but too often you fall into that rabbit hole. And, you have everybody, that's the problem with Twitter. Everybody's entrenched and they think they know everything, Jody.
I'm not surprised that that's.
I mean, you just muted yourself, Jody, if you can hear me.
I gotta learn when to mute and when I'm not muted. Yeah. We've got a good show planned for you, as John already told you. Brandon Brooks is going to join us about 8:20.
Barrett Brooks. I go that's difficult because you always want to say Brandon Barrett.
Barrett Brooks. Barrett Brooks will join us coming up in about 10 or 15 minutes from now. And then Hollis Thomas, scheduled to be on at 9:20. Now, Hollis a little bit. I've done shows with Hollis. Hollis is just stone cold fun. Hanging out with Hollis Thomas is fun. You don't have to be on the air to have fun with Hollis Thomas. Hollis Thomas is just fun, period. I'm going to put the under-over that Hollis will be here at about 68%.
I'm going 89%.
Okay, you're more confident than I am. There's a 32% chance that Hollis is not going to show.
Xander, what are you putting the percentage on? Did he confirm? We need to hear that. I'm trying to get Xander to pop on here one day. I think we can create a star in Xander Crowd.
Xander could be a potential star.
Yeah. but he won't pop on. He won't pop on. I want to see him pop on.
He's a star at what he does. I don't know if we.
Sanders giving me 55%.
55, yeah. See,
I'm way less confident now.
He's less confident. You're more confident. That's
but that just shook my confidence. Is what
now your confidence.
Now I got to rethink my confidence.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. We're getting far afield of what we do here every day, which is talk about the Eagles. And oh, by the way, before you ever went on Twitter last night waiting for a Corey Kluber no-hitter, you had activity and work to do during the day. And that was including talking to one Jalen Hurts, little media availability for the Eagles quarterback. See, I didn't say starting quarterback because the Eagles don't want to call him the starting quarterback, even though we all know he's the starting quarterback. He's all in for competition, and you let him right down that primrose path, McMullen. You had him throwing out one-liners after you got the chance to start yesterday's press briefing.
Yeah, Jalen's great with the one-liners. Jalen, we were talking about that a little bit as well before the show. He's just got every intangible to be successful at this position. And, I love it. I think it's funny, the Eagles aren't rolling out Joe Flacco. This is first day of phase 2 of OTAs. And here's your menu, Jody. Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham, and the main event is Jalen Hurts. Yeah, but he's not the starting quarterback. Right. I think it's absurd. But, I was Ricky Henderson. I was leading off. You got to ask the question. And I asked him, do you think this team is committed to you? Because they haven't named you the starting quarterback, and he's just really good in these types of situations. And I'm always impressed by him. His pulse level is just so even. He's so even keeled. He understands how to do it. He understands how to deal with it. He went through it at Alabama with Tua. So he understands this competition thing. He understands, as he describes it, the rent needs to be paid every day, doesn't plan on missing any rent payments. Then at the end, we're hungry. We're not going to be missing any meals. He's just really good getting in there, punctuating a point. And I think it's a breath of fresh air. And I'm writing about this, and it'll be on phillyboys.com this morning, Jody. If you look at this offseason in the NFL and all these prima donnas, starting with Aaron Rodgers, who, is a superstar. They're all superstars. Even Carson Wentz at one point was a superstar. Russell Wilson thinking he should be involved in personnel decisions. Aaron Rodgers the same way. Deshaun, even before the issues, he wanted to say who the coach should be and the GM should be. I mean, these guys are nuts, their egos at this point. And even Carson Wentz here getting upset that the Eagles took a second-round pick on a quarterback to a little bit of a lesser extent. But nonetheless, I put that in the same category as well.
Sure.
Jalen Hurts he is a breath of fresh air. He's like, okay, you want to say I got to compete? He's going to go compete. Now, he doesn't really have to, but I just find it very, very refreshing.
Right. You have to compete against the other team, right? Every single Sunday you're asked to compete. You go out and compete against the opposition. Why can't you do that Monday through Saturday too? And work hard at it and not have it handed to you and be able to dictate terms in your life on go out and just get it done. Compete. And that's exactly the attitude that he showed yesterday. Yeah, I really do like this. I want him to succeed badly. My offseason with the Eagles in the quarterback position. I was hoping that they drafted Justin Fields. I think he's going to be a star quarterback in this league. They chose not to. They took Devonta Smith, so I can't complain about what they did on draft night because they got themselves a superstar just in a different position. But this is the kind of kid you want to root for. You have faith in.
Yeah, he is. And as I said, this is the modern environment. I mean, this is where we are, Jody. It's not just the NFL. You see it in the NBA. Superstars have that, whether you want to call it entitlement. and really the poster child is probably Rodgers. We know about the NBA. You got guys, deciding where they're going to go, what city, bringing in players, how much power they have in that sport. Look, the toothpaste is out of the tube, and that's why it is so refreshing when you get a player who is a little bit of old school net mentality. You're right. It's a competitive sport anyway. One thing Nick Sirianni, although I think his competition mantra is nonsense, I've said it pretty consistently. One thing I agree with him with is he mentioned himself and Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. And by the way, I expect to talk to the coordinators for the first time today, so I'm excited about that. But he said we're competing, because if we don't succeed, we're going to get fired. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, the old Bump Phillips quote. There's two kinds of coaches, them that's hired, them that's fired. Ultimately, everybody has a shelf life. So everybody's competing, whether it's in-house or out of house. And that seems to be the way Jalen Hurts approaches his job. And that's not the case. Everybody else wants, you better build up around me. You better put me into personnel decisions. You better do this for me. You better do that for me. It's where we are, but it's not fun for me. I don't think it's fun for most fans when players act like prima donnas.
It gets very frustrating if it's a player that you happen to be a huge fan of and you root for the team and he's been your guy and all of a sudden he's trying to talk his way out of town. Yeah, it gets really tough on not only the organization, but the fan base here in town. You mentioned Nick Sirianni, and shame on me, I missed this almost 2 weeks ago. When a new president takes office, we all talk all the time about the first 100 days, that the first 100 days is key. What can you achieve in your first 100 days in office? Well, we missed Nick Sirianni's first 100 days. And I don't know about you, but I count from the day that Sirianni did his first press conference. It leaked out a little bit earlier. Then the Eagles confirmed it. But for me, the Nick Sirianni era started here in Philadelphia the day of his first press conference, which was 113 days ago. So we've come and gone with the 100-day mark of the Nick Sirianni era. And to tell you what kind of a symmetrically balanced day it is today, it was 113 days ago that Nick Sirianni was introduced. What happens 113 days from today, John McMullen?
Well, I would say this: the second 113 days is a hell of a lot important than the first 113 days. Unfortunately, I like where you're going with the analogy, but the first 100 days when you're a head coach in the NFL, to be honest, are not all that meaningful because of the calendar and where you are in the season. He couldn't even get to his players. His first time on the field with the players was rookie camp, which was last Friday. So maybe we should go 100 days from last Friday and see what goes on with this particular team. And obviously that's going to take you into training camp and all that. But I hear what you're saying. Look, there's some positive. We've talked about it. Tremendous energy. Jason Kelsey seems to have bought in Brandon Graham, the veteran players, but that's what they do. They're professionals. And I'll tell you, I was impressed with Jalen Hurts yesterday. Now, can he do it on the field? That's the bigger part of it. But he's got every single intangible you need to succeed. Unfortunately, Jody, we're in the era of analytics of sports. So people tend to throw intangibles into the dustbin.
Yes. Intangibles are good for coaches and in locker rooms, but you got to win by performing on the field. You win all the press conferences you want. You got to win football games. But just in case you didn't pick up, 113 days from now is the first game of the Nick Sirianni era. So it's been 113 days since we first got to meet him. We have to wait 113 days before we get a true result, because all the talk, all the rock, paper, scissors, all the energy doesn't much matter if you can't find a way to win. And I think the game in Atlanta is actually winnable. And we got 113 days to figure it out. We've got a couple of minutes to get ready for an appearance here on the show. Barrett Brooks going to hop aboard. We've been doing a connection with the middle all week. We had Eitan Shander earlier. We had Harry Mays yesterday. We saved the best for last, the creme de la creme. Barrett Brooks joins us next here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Welcome to the Wildwoods, the perfect place where you can safely do everything or nothing at all. Catch a wave, take a nap, go for a drive, grab a bite. It's your vacation, and we're doing everything we can to make it a safe one. The Wildwoods. Your vacation, your way.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at ibew98.org.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
D-A-T-L-E-S, Jody Mack, the legendary sports talker, joins forces with NFL insider John McMullen. Start your morning with Johnny Mack and Jody Mack across the JAKIB Media Network.
Today in the trenches here on Birds 365. McMullen and McDonald getting down in the nitty-gritty with you, and we're faking it when we do it. Our guests are going to have actually experienced what it's all about in the trenches. One on the offensive side of the ball, one on the defensive side of the ball. First up, the thinking man side. That would be the offensive line. And former Eagle offensive lineman, host now on the middle here on the JAKIB Media Sports YouTube channel. Our buddy Barrett Brooks hops aboard with us.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. In fact, I'm just sitting here just listening to this radio, TV, YouTube gold you guys just gave. I mean, seriously, it's great to hear somebody really understand me when you guys say that analytics versus intangibles. Because I really feel as though intangibles is how the league should be made up. That's how I was made up when I was playing. I took care of the intangibles. That's why I had a 12-year NFL career. The intangibles being knowing my playbook, being in shape, playing as hard as I can without the coaches telling me to do that, doing the little things that help me take it to the next level. Those are the intangibles that get looked over when you go to analytics. Analytics just says, gives you an evaluation at that point. But intangibles take you over the long haul. So, I mean, that was gold right there you guys gave. And we really need to look at Jalen Hurts in that manner. That, yes, he's a young guy, but he has those intangibles. He's doing everything right. He's getting the city to love him. He's doing all of the stuff out there and around the city and making sure they see that he's invested in the city. Those are all things that you have to do in order to be, a quarterback that with some staying power in this league. So, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. intangibles versus analytics is great. But I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk, taking over the show. I'm sorry.
No, do it. That's why you're the main event of the middle, as I call you. Just like Jalen Hurts was the main event of that first day presser in OTAs with Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham. I think it tells you a lot, Barrett, that they're putting him out there in sort of that anchor position. He's the starting quarterback. We're not talking about
right. Exactly.
But that, the leadership, the work ethic, everybody likes the kid. Everybody likes the kid. But if you can't put a number on it, if you can't make it actionable, people think it doesn't matter. And that's why we talk about intangibles. And that's why I love Jalen Hurts. I hope he succeeds. However, I think you got to be fair. 52% isn't good enough. So, Pro Football Focus came out. I'm sure you saw. They ranked him 31 of 32 starting quarterbacks. But that's sort of what he did in the past. That doesn't count the upside. Count the development of the player. And then I go back to intangibles again. He's working out every day with Quincy Avery when he's not here. The work ethic, he's got everything, Barrett. I'm rooting for the kid.
Absolutely. I mean, you go out and you want a guy that's going to take hold of this team, take leadership responsibilities without being told to. Going out and working out when nobody else is looking, bringing guys into the fold, getting some chemistry with them. Those are all things that make guys successful. And you're right. You can't put a number on those. You can't go out and put analytics, on the heart. I've seen guys with absolutely no athletic talent become some of the best players in the world simply because their heart is bigger than a guy with a whole bunch of talent. So yes, you're absolutely right, man. This is one of those things where I think Jalen Hurts, just off spite and pure will of seeing number 30, ranked 31. He had guys like Trevor Lawrence hadn't even touched on the field, and we tend to forget Trevor Lawrence is playing in Jacksonville, the worst team in the NFL. They are horrible. They won't be able to do anything. But you're going to rank our quarterback, behind him, but behind Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was my number 4 quarterback. Well, 3.5, 4 in my evaluation of NFL quarterbacks coming out of the draft. But they got him right in front of him. I just don't understand it. Carson Wentz had 12 games worth of just pure garbage, and he's in front of him. Come on now, man. That's utterly ridiculous, simply ridiculous. Carson Wentz is up there just because his team is more of a team rather than Carson Wentz's.
Barrett, you talked about how we as fans, and I do throw myself in as fans here as we do Birds 365, look at intangibles. We get pumped up about intangibles. We love stuff like that. We love Jalen Hurts' performance yesterday, saying all the right things to the John McMullen questions. But our opinion is nice. There's one really important opinion, and it can be good here because I think the coach, the new head coach, the beginning of the Nick Sirianni era, I think intangibles were going to count with him. Don't know about the front office. Don't know about Howie Roseman. Don't know if he's being whispered in his ear by his analytical department and or his owner. But the coach is going to get the first hands-on chance to mold and build up and get Mr. Hurts going in the correct direction. And I do think he cares about intangibles. He wears his intangibles and his emotions on his sleeve. So I think he's going to take that into consideration with this football team. So I really do. Even though they won't come out and say it, we all assume, and I think pretty damn close to know, he's going to be the starting quarterback. I think the coach is going to love him and go to war for him.
No question. And you can tell this coach is a player's coach. And I played with players coaches before. They give you an opportunity to win something because they get to know their players. They're directly tied to their players. They give them an opportunity to play to their strengths, not necessarily the scheme being the ultimate indicator of whether you're going to play or not. Some guys just have that it factor. This team is full of them. Look at Kelsey. Kelsey should not be as good as he is. He's just too damn small to be in the league as a starting center. Yet he's played at an awesome level. Almost, every year being a Pro Bowler. Almost. It should have been, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but, he's played at that level. Guys like that who are not supposed to be that good, but played their way into being a dominant player because their heart. You know, size didn't matter to him. And, you know, kind of going to be just like, you know, Smith. Smith, you know, he is thin as a rail. You go, he'll blow away, but you cannot take away his heart. He's going to go out there and play. And I'm telling you right now, he's not going to be a guy that's going to be busting games up. We're going deep all the time. If we as Phillies fans are looking at that, he won't be that. But he will be a guy that's going to keep the chains moving, be that solid player that's going to get a quiet 110 yards here, 120 yards in this game, 100 in this game, 98 in this game. Why he keeps the sticks moving? Because he's going to be a great possession receiver. That's what he's going to be. He has game-breaking speed, but not the speed, the top-end speed that you want, that you might have with a, you know, Hill from Kansas City. But he will be consistently good every week, and those are the intangibles that we're not looking at as far as in our evaluation of who these players really are.
Barrett, Howie's been busy the past couple of days bringing in players. Ryan Kerrigan, the most notable. But yesterday, and I want to get your thoughts because it's offensive line, it's offensive tackle. They bring in LaRaven Clark, who was in Indianapolis with Nick Sirianni, has some experience as a swing tackle. That got me thinking. I'm like, what does this mean? Does this mean they're going to trade Andre Dillard? Does this mean it's starting left tackle or bust for Andre Dillard? Or is it just about Nick Sirianni doing a Tim Tebow for somebody he likes and putting him on the 90-man offseason roster? What was your first thoughts when you see the Eagles bringing in another player at one position where they seem to have quite a bit of depth?
Well, LaRaven Clark is one of those guys that, you know, he fits what the Eagles like to do. He plays multiple positions on the team. You know, he can actually play guard. He can play, you know, tackle. And, you know, if need be, you know, be a guy that can swing on both sides in a game. You know, those are, like you say, intangible stuff. He's not very athletic. He got okay athleticism. In fact, I kind of equate him to myself, you know, as far as how he plays. But he's a strong player. You know, he's going to finish plays. And, you know, sometimes, you know, just having a guy go out there and to just muscle guys will be good. That's what he is. He's going to be a muscle guy. He's going to be a consistent guy. And he's going to go out there and just get the job done. He's not going to blow you away with his athleticism, but he's going to be a solid player. Now, what does that mean for Andre Dillard? Dillard is making his own bed. You know, and what you're not seeing is Dillard doing anything to capture this coaching staff. You have to make sure that they're talking about you at all times when you're not a guy that, you know, when you're supposed to be the guy, but you're not that guy. Right now, I think Jordan Mailata has taken, you know, steps to leaps and bounds as far as being the starting left tackle, which puts Dillard in an awkward position because he's a first rounder. And, you know, when you're a first rounder, you're supposed to play. His body is right now ready to play, but I don't know mental if he's ready to go out there and take on a 17 game now NFL schedule and be dominant every single play. I think, you know, he just, you know, wanders away for a little bit, you know, then he might get focused again, have a great, you know, play here and there, and then he just wanders away again. In this league, you have to be consistent. He doesn't have that consistency, or I don't think he has that I'm not going to say heart, but I'm going to say that intensity that you need to play day in and day out when you're blocking for the blind side of your quarterback.
And I'm back to Nick Sirianni again here, because he's the one who's going to make that decision. And we've had some really good, fun discussions about who should be the Eagles' starting left tackle this year. I don't know about you, Barrett, but I've got some confidence in this coaching staff that they're going to make the right call. That in years gone by with, well, this was a first-round draft pick and the organization is dedicated to him. I got the feeling that Nick Sirianni's coming in here and he's going to take the best player. He's going to be selecting the guy who shows him the most, has the focus in practice. He's not going to let something like where a player was drafted dictate as to who's in his starting lineup.
Absolutely. You can tell he has a little more power going into this organization than even Doug did. You know, Nick picked his coaching staff. He brought in guys that he wanted. I mean, you know, Doug just won a Super Bowl. He didn't have autonomy to do that. So it just shows that he has a little more pull than we're giving him credit for. You know, we're thinking he's just being a yes man. I think that he's going to go out there and make sure he gets things right. Now, he has that power until he shows that he's not good enough to wield that power. Once he starts making mistakes, then this is the type of, organization that they'll take the reins. They want what they want. And you have to go out there and execute and be successful in order to keep that type of power. So, looking at it, Nick, at this point, it giving him a lot of rope. It's up to him whether he wants to hang himself or not. But I like Nick so far. Everybody's talking about the way he talks. I don't care how you talk in a press conference. I've had one of the most, harsh, whatever you want to call it, with Ray Rhodes. Ray Rhodes, his press comments were epic. His speeches in the locker room were epic. He just didn't know how to articulate to the average fan what was going on in the locker room. He'd rather cuss you out, tell you, hey, just look and see what we do rather than anything else. But, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about you going out there and producing. And if Nick produces, they'll keep him, they'll keep him out there in a position where he can, hang himself, or he can go out there and, take enough rope to be a guy that's going to be here for a long time.
Barrett, I still shake my head. By the way, I agree with you. But you said again that Nick Sirianni at least looks like, he has more autonomy than Doug Peterson. That's like a whole nother show. Right. I can't believe that. But you're right. It's so bizarre to me.
Right.
But I do want to shift to what the Ryan Kerrigan decision meant to you. That guy's going to be 33 by the time week 1 rolls around. He could still play. There's no question about that, I think. But, Jeffrey Lurie coined the term transition, not any of us.
Right.
Why are you signing a 33-year-old guy when you need to figure out if Derek Barnett's the answer long-term, Josh Sweat's the answer long-term, both on contract years, by the way, and some of the younger players as well. And that's why Ryan Kerrigan.
I think that they need that presence on the defensive side of the ball that, not just from a performance standpoint, because, you can't be a leader that's going to go up and be a rah-rah guy. People are going to list you and follow you unless you give some results. They needed more from the defensive end position. Derek Barnett, they don't trust him just yet to be a player that's going to be on the field, for a long period of time. The best ability is availability. He hasn't been available a lot of the times. Yeah. And, his results were – not flattering. He's been in a little position where he's been hurt a little bit, but he's also, when he's out there, he's made some stupid mistakes also as far as, late hits and things of that nature. So they need to stabilize that. And plus they need to get a really good rotation. I don't think Joe Osman is ready to be an NFL type of player, every down player right now. Say what you want to say. He can't be in the, as a rotational player, if he doesn't give results. You look at the rest of the guys in there, Jannard Avery. What is he? He's just one of those tweener type of guys. Is he just going to be a pass rusher? You just can't have that luxury to just having a pass rusher that you just bring it on third down. Kerrigan can play all 4 downs, first, second, third, and fourth on the goal line. He's that type of presence. And that's what they needed. Brandon Graham, he's up there also. What is he, 32?
It's going to be 33, yeah.
Yeah, be
Same
33.
Age, yeah.
Exactly. So, he's going to need some reps that, somebody can come in and play on both sides. If he's not starting, if Kerrigan's not starting on the right side, he can go in and spell BG on the left side. Those are all positions that are interchangeable, and he can play both sides. A lot of guys get stuck in, all right, I can just rush from this side. Kerrigan can rush from both sides, and his production is going to be there. They've watched him literally tear our tackles apart. In fact, I think Vic V still wakes up in cold sweats and nightmares from Kerrigan the first game he started. He's given Jason Peters, the bodyguard, some work. He can rush the passer. They just didn't need him in Washington anymore. They went out there, what's his name, Davis. And plus they didn't know what they wanted to do with him. Is he a defensive end? Is he an outside linebacker?
Well, they also have Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So Washington, they have the most talent. But Lane swears by Ryan Kerrigan.
No question. He's giving him work too.
Yeah. He loves him.
I got no problem with a signing like that, even though, according to the owner, it's a transitional year. You got to get good players, and you got to at least make an attempt to put together the best football team you can so you can win games. If we're going to truly believe in the transitional thing, why are we asking on a day-in, day-out basis, why are they not signing another quarterback? We have Michael Jackett. He is transition.
That's true, Jody.
He is the man. He is young. Just give him the job. No, they need better. And they need better at defensive end. I'm sorry. Barnett has had his chance here, and he has not won anything for me. Certainly not a contract extension. The Eagles already kind of made that decision by not adding on the last year. No, I'm good with Ryan Kerrigan. He's going to give the Eagles a better chance to win next year. That's an outstanding signing. No question. And just like you said, the cornerback position, I still don't understand what is going on at the cornerback position. There is nobody that can go out there and cover a second tier wide receiver on this team. At this point, Darius Slay is the only guy that can go out there and handle a number one, can handle a number two. Avonte Maddox, we tried him on the outside. It's those guys are just too big. I mean, look at Golladay is 6'4". 210, 215 pounds. Yeah. You're asking a guy that's 5'9". Then we go out and get another guy that's 5'9".
They're the exact same size. It's like they got a clone. He's 5'9". He's a slot player. I'm talking about Josiah Scott. They picked up from the Jaguars. He runs a 4.4, so he runs like an outside corner, but he's 5'9", just like Avonte.
Call him the net.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I will say, Barrett, is Avonte played outside at Pitt, so he's more comfortable outside, and he was really successful. But that's college. That's not pro, where you have monsters like Mike Evans and Julio Jones and Kenny Golladay, as you mentioned. They just don't have enough length. But I look at that Kerrigan signing and say, okay, is that what the Eagles are they saying we couldn't get a cornerback, so we better get to the quarterback? Is that what sort of a different way to go about the same thing?
Although, honestly, I'm seriously thinking that that's exactly the direction they're going. I think they're going to blitz a little more, and they need to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback in order for that defense to be successful. Hence that's why they went out and got Jacoby Stevens. I think they're going to make him, they're going to play big. I call it big nickel, but when you put three safeties in the game, put your best athletes out there, and he's big enough to play both, linebacker and play safety. He's fast enough. He can cover tight ends, cover running backs, go out in the slot and cover sometimes. They're going to need that player that they can rush off the end, rush them from the inside. They're going to have to generate pressure from bringing guys if they don't go out and get some cornerbacks, because I'm just being honest. I'm tired of holding my breath and my stomach, getting, turned in knots on every third down because they're gonna go out there and complete the pass because our corners. I love it. I love the heart. I love the enthusiasm the guys go out there. But sometimes, numbers take over. Just like say you talk about analytics, numbers are going to take over when you have somebody 6'4", 215, 220 pounds running a 4.3, and you got a guy that's 5'9", and 185 pounds trying to guard him. Those analytics are sitting right there in your face. That's when big guys beat up on little guys. They're going to go get the ball. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I don't understand why we didn't go out there and actively go out and get cornerbacks in this draft. It just didn't make sense to me. It still doesn't make sense to me. We still haven't brought anybody in that can go and handle and be that number 2 defensive back. The wait to the 4th round is almost a travesty as far as, drafting. I understand you love offensive linemen, you build in the trenches, but we needed offensive linemen like Carter D. liver pills, man. We needed it, man. Oh, remember you said that Landon Dickerson when you get your chance to meet him, that Eagles didn't wasted a pick in the 2nd round.
By the way, Barrett, Landon is a big, big boy. My God, if that's a center, 6'6", 330, whew, he is. I don't know. I think he's going to be fine if he's healthy. Right. I don't know. How do you throw over a 6'6" center?
Well, I played with a guy like that, Mike Compton, when I was in with the Detroit Lions. Mike Compton was about 6'6". He wasn't as big as him. He's about 6'6", maybe 310 pounds. But he was the same type of guy. He might have been 6'6" and a half, but he was able to bend, get low. I don't see him necessarily being a center. I think they're going to make that transition. The Sam Model's going to boot over. He's going to be the center, and he's going to pop right in at left guard. He's just a physical type of guy, man. A physical player, nasty. He's polished. He just needs to stay on the field. He has everything
that you want from a nasty player that's just going to go out there and just choke you every single time. He's going to finish you. And I love him as a player. I just think that he was a luxury player at the time we picked him. And we don't have the time to be a luxury picking type of team. We need D-backs so bad.
And I'll play Howie Roseman for you a little bit. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just judging the moves that the Eagles have and haven't made. He's sitting here during the offseason. He knows where he needs upgrading. Could use some upgrading at the edge on the pass rush. He certainly needs update a cornerback. He's got offers out there. Let's say Nelson is holding out for $5 million, and he wants a multi-year deal. And the Eagles don't want to go multi-year, and they don't think he's worth a $5 million player. But Kerrigan, you can get done at 3.5 right now. And Howie Roseman looks at it and goes, well, who's the better actual player for this upcoming year? Well, Kerrigan. And I'm getting him for cheaper? Well, yes, maybe I've got a slightly larger need at the cornerback position, but I can't bring myself to pull the trigger and overpay at the cornerback just because I have that big a need. Let me go get a defensive end, and we'll lessen the need for cornerback because we'll get to the quarterback.
I think exactly.
It's playing out in the mind of the general manager.
I think, in fact, I know that's what he's thinking. I mean, he has to be thinking that in that direction because even their draft dictates that, you know. So, I mean, I understand what Howie is trying to do, but I also understand there's nothing like we get a lot of projects here. And I'm not tired of projects. I want somebody to come in and play that's not a project. And for the past couple of years, that's what we've been doing. We've been getting guys that have potential. Sometimes I want somebody just going to come in from day one and just be an axe kicker. You know what I mean? Go out there and just go out there and ball. Give me that. I want that. I want somebody that's going to go out and choke you day one, as you know, regardless. Instead of having somebody that's going to, all right, his potential is right there. Why can't we get the guys coming to be instant players? That's what I want, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Couple dominoes left the ball, though. We talked about Dillard. They can maybe spin Dillard off for a corner. Zach Ertz, I don't think they're going to be able to trade him at this point, but post-June 1st, they get a little money. So maybe Steven Nelson becomes in the conversation at that point. Is there another shoe to drop at the cornerback position past, or is Josiah Hill, the Ronald Dutch Scott, I can't even get his name right at this stage, is he the Ronald Darby trade that Howie Roseman was talking about?
I'm thinking that's what we have to go into war with. I like Zach McPherson. You know, he has the size you want from a cornerback, but he's not going to be ready to play just yet. Yeah. You know, he's
by the way, Barrett, I think he's a slot guy too. They have 75 slot corners.
Right. I don't know. I mean, everybody wants to be, you know, 5'10", 5'9". Give me somebody, you know, a Bobby Taylor. Bobby Taylor came in with me, 6'5". You know, instant success, came on the field and played. Why don't we draft in that manner? Why don't we go out and get guys that, you know, that we know we need a second corner to handle number one receivers, number two receivers. We need that because this division has gotten better from the wide receiver position, and we got to be able to cover these guys. We are going to be so awful on defense if we don't get guys that can cover and guys that can cover bigger guys. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, man. These guys are big now, they're fast, and they're polished. If you don't get pressure on this quarterback, man, it's going to be a long, long season for this Eagles defense.
If they're going with quantity over quality, why isn't Cravon LeBlanc black?
Right.
I was okay guy. They might sign him today. Who knows?
That's what I mean. Just keep adding up the slot guys. One of them's got to be able to step outside and play, right?
Put them together.
Quantity over the quality.
Right. Maybe we put them together and have them go out there and play, you know, double team.
Hey, bring Nickel Roby Coleman back as well. Let's bring them all back.
No, I saw
all
enough.
The slot corners.
Way overrated last year.
Let's collect all the slot corners. But I do, you know, Barrett, it is Trenches Day on Birds 365. So the biggest question of all, could Barrett Brooks move Hollis Thomas and the stuff in the run? That's what I want to know.
But I think it'll be a stalemate because, you know, once he roots down, he's not going anywhere too fast. But once he roots down, he's not going anywhere. Put it like that. He's not getting there too fast, but he's not going anywhere too fast either. He's going to be a root. I remember when they first brought Hollis in. Oh my goodness. When they brought Hollis in, I was in there with Ray when they brought him in, and I'm sitting there talking to Ray. Ray be like, "Hey Brooks, come check this guy out. You know, you're from St. Louis. Come check this guy out." Yeah. So I go in, I sit down, and I'm watching Hollis Thomas. Guess what is playing in the back? Usually you have highlight films and you don't put music in it. You know, this is VCR tape. You know, it's VCR.
Sure.
Hollis Thomas's highlight tape has Eric B. and Rakim. I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. That's in his highlight tape. What that he sent to Ray Rhodes. He sent that to him. So I'm sitting there listening to it. I'm jamming like, hey, this kid's pretty good. Yeah, Hollis is good. And we're listening to Eric B. and Rakim while we're doing it. So that's the type of player Hollis was. He wasn't drafted, but he was moving the crowd at Northern Illinois, man.
Now, how many inches do you have on Hollis?
Probably about 5, 4 or 5.
I was gonna say you had some height, but Hollis, when you said when he sat down, there was very little you could do to move him. He was a tank in his days in the National Football League.
I got to tell you, Barrett, that's brilliant to put Eric B. and Rakim on your. You know why? Because my wife loves The Voice. I can't stand the show, but every time I step in, like if they're doing a song that I recognize, it's automatically better to me.
Right.
I think Hollis was second level there. You make people like the music, and all of a sudden they say this kid's good.
There's YouTube before YouTube was even here. Yeah. That was a YouTube moment. You know, you hear the background. I'm sitting there dancing to it, and he was demoing out there. He didn't get an opportunity because he was in Northern Illinois.
Yeah,
and you know, but as for his ability to you talk about rerouting receivers. He used to reroute offensive linemen.
That's pretty good.
we used to double team him, and he used to take one guy and push him off and just sit there with the other guy, hold the other guy like this. Like we would literally double team him. He'd have me like this. And then the other guy, he'll just throw to the ground. He'll just sit there just like they're in the hole. And that'd be the extent of his movement. If the ball came his way, he's going to stop it right there. But he's not chasing anything going the other direction. Believe that. Believe
it. They'll come to me, and I'll be ready.
Right.
Those big guys in the middle. I remember Kelsey. Kelsey would tell me, Linval Joseph, man, you could not move that guy. Just
he's with the Giants?
Yeah. You could not move that guy. Just strongest guy in the league. That's what Kelsey told me.
No, you know what? I played against a guy named Jumpy Gathers. Jumpy Gathers was so strong that I can remember I went to double team him, and he had grabbed Steve Everett, and he had this thing called this forklift where he would grab it from the back and he push your chest in. And when he puts your chest in, it's almost like he picking you up in the air. We call it the forklift. And he pick you up in the air, and he would actually hurt your back. And he actually ripped Steve's pec muscle by doing it. Ripped it. This guy was so strong. You couldn't move him at all, man. Jumpy was just like a freak of nature. You didn't hear much about him, but he was like one of the best defensive linemen. Anytime your offensive lineman played there and he said, man, I hate playing against Jumpy Gathers. I hate playing against Jumpy Gathers. He was the guy guys hated to play against.
Yeah. I want to say mostly Falcons. Was he a Falcon guy more than anything? Yeah. I remember Jumpy Gathers. He's a pretty damn good player. You are right. I have one more position I want to get into before we let you run, Barrett, and that's tight end. We know that Dallas Goddard is going to be the starter, although Nick Sirianni probably won't commit to that just yet, right? Because he loves that competition. But we're all pretty sure it's going to be Dallas Goddard. We know that Zach Ertz is still on the roster. We were all believing that at some point he's going to become an ex-Eagle, either via trade and or a release. Who else is going to play tight end for the Eagles? Did they have a wink and a nod deal with Richard Rodgers? Hey, once we get Zach out of here, we'll be re-signing you again. Right now, with the depth that they're building up at so many positions, with the large roster size that they have, tight end seems a little barren for me. You think they got something up their sleeve at tight end?
Well, I mean, they love athletic type of tight ends. At this point, they like Khalid Wilson. He played a lot, when given an opportunity. From that point, I don't know where else to go.
They got the kid who was a quarterback in Buffalo. They got Jason Kroom. They got Tyree Jackson's trying to do the Logan Thomas thing.
Yep.
Jack Stoll, who is, a pretty high undrafted free agent priority-wise. They signed him. He's more of a inline tight end, I think.
They did have that one. They did have, what's his name? Butler, Hakeem Butler.
Hakeem Butler
caught that one pass.
Yeah. Well, they went to him on 4th down, and everybody killed Doug on the goal line. They threw a fade to him. It didn't work, but he was a good receiver. I think at Indiana State, maybe in college. So he was an over. They got a lot of bodies. It's like cornerback. It's like slot cornerback. Somebody's gonna win that job. By the way, Dallas Goddard. By the way, everybody killing Pro Football Focus. They put Dallas Goddard as the 5th best tight end in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, his yak yardage alone, makes you think about him and getting the ball to him. When you have a guy like Zach Ertz out there, it tends to take a little attention off you. So, of course, his numbers are going to be a lot better, and they're going to look at him a lot more because nobody's really looking at him because everybody's looking at Zach Ertz, including the quarterback who just, always looked at him. But, if you're the number one guy, I don't know, can he go out there and be that number one guy that everybody focuses on? That's where when the guy's worth his salt. When everybody knows you're going to get the ball and you're still able to go out there and execute. That's the only thing, man. But at the end of the day, man, I love the fact that they love competition, and competition breeds success because your cream rises to the top. So hopefully, this quarterback battle, the tight end battle, there's going to be enough competition on this team that the team gets better. They're not as bad as everybody's thinking right now. They're not as bad, especially they're not as bad as what you think, John. But we'll see. We'll see.
Come on, I got them at 8 wins, Barrett. I got them at 8 wins. Yeah.
Oh, you're above the what everybody is saying right now. Me, I was caught up in when they went out and put the schedule out there, and I got caught up a little bit, and I stopped looking at it from the Eagles. I was looking at it like, all right, I'm a NFL football player, so looking at this, man, I'm looking at this. Oh, these are gimme games. But the Broncos are a gimme game. Detroit's a gimme game. I mean, they're going to beat the Saints because the Saints don't have a quarterback. That's a gimme game. But then I thought about it. Wait a minute. The Eagles are everybody else's gimme game. So I had, had to pump my brakes a little bit. I had them like an 11-6, but then I had to pump my brakes, come back to reality. I'm right around about 8 wins, maybe even sneaking in a 9 because they're a lot better and sneak up on some people.
Yeah.
All right. We're glad to hear that. John and I ran it down. We did the win-loss thing, and we came out both at 8 and 9. So we're all in the same neighborhood. We're glad you hopped into our neighborhood today. Tell your neighbors over there on the middle we send our regards, Mays, and Eitan. Now, you guys do it all remotely. You can't actually reach over and smack Eitan upside the head. That doesn't work.
No. We can't do it. He'd sick Ace on me, his dog. He'd sick Ace on me.
Beware the Ace. Barrett, thanks for hopping out with us, brother. We'll be calling and get you on in a couple of weeks. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it, Barrett. Have a good one now.
Barrett Brooks, former Eagle offensive lineman, host on the middle here on the JAKIB Media Sports Channel. We are the Mac guys. We've still got an hour left to go. Next hour, we will have that fire plug that we discussed last hour. Hollis Thomas, the ex-Eagle defensive lineman. I'm sitting at 60-some-odd%. John gave him an 89%, almost a lot.
Yeah, but Xander shook my confidence, Jody. Okay. Xander shook my confidence.
And I've done shows with Hollis on the radio. Great dude. Fun dude. Yeah. If we get him on, we'll have fun with him. I can guarantee you that. Sometimes he shows, sometimes he doesn't. We'll see if he shows with us today. He's scheduled to hop aboard in about 20 minutes right here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Welcome to the Wildwoods, the perfect place where you can safely do everything or nothing at all. Catch a wave, take a nap, go for a drive, grab a bite. It's your vacation, and we're doing everything we can to make it a safe one The Wildwoods. Your vacation, your way.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at ibew98.org.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
JAKIB! Jody Mack, the legendary sports talker, joins forces with NFL insider John McMullen. Start your morning with Johnny Mack and Jody Mack across the JAKIB Media Network.
We are the Mac and Mac guys here with you on the JAKIB Media channel. I'm having troubles here, Johnny Mac. I need your assistance. Jumpy Gathers. How did he spell his Gaeth?
No, I think it's Geath.
Gathers.
Yes, Gathers.
But pronounced more like Gathers?
I don't know. Tell you the truth. I think it's just Jumpy Gathers, but yeah, he's 6'7", let's see, 6'7", 290, Wichita State, Saints, Redskins, Falcons, Broncos. Jumpy Gathers.
Yeah. I was trying to look him up quickly, but I was having trouble with the spelling of his
name.
And
here we go.
To look the guy up, you got to know how to spell his last name, right?
And by the way, Barrett had mentioned his forklift rush. That's what it says on his Wikipedia page. Famous for his forklift rush, in which he picked up the blocker and carried him to the quarterback.
That was the kind of player Jumpy Gathers was. And we appreciate Barrett coming on. We're hoping, crossing fingers for Hollis Thomas coming up about 20 minutes from now. J-Mac, I want to hop back to the quarterback discussion we were having before he came on. You got to lead off the press gathering with Mr. Hurts yesterday. And, the fact that the Eagles made him one of the players available to the media on their first day of the offseason workouts, although these were, remember, not mandatory. These were optional that the players all agreed to show up for, that the amount of work that they're doing is negotiated. And I just can't stand the fact that coaches don't have the ability to coach and prepare their team the way that they want. It's all negotiated in a collective bargaining agreement. But I gotta suck it up. That's what it is. Yeah. I'm not gonna change it. Am I complaining about it here on Birds 365? Isn't gonna change it either. But the Eagles did make a statement. People were trying to read into the fact that, they refused to name him their starting quarterback. Why won't the coach just come out and say he's the starting quarterback? Sometimes actions speak louder than the words. And they put him out there with Brandon Graham, grizzled veteran, Super Bowl winner. They put him out there with Jason Kelsey, grizzled veteran, Super Bowl winner. Oh, and where's this Hurts kid come from? Well, it's because he's going to be the starting quarterback of the team, which I'm looking forward to. I think he's got a chance to do good things for the Eagles this year. And it got me thinking yesterday, who do you think is going to be the Eagles starting quarterback in 2022? We've been speculating on it now for a while that because the Eagles have all this draft capital, they have optionality, that they can do a lot of different things. We know that Jalen Hurts is going to start, injuries aside, the first game in 2021 and the most games in 2021, hopefully all games in 2021. But who's going to be their starting quarterback in 2022? I ask you today, knowing full well you can change your mind, situations change over time, but on May 20th, who do you think is going to be the Eagles starting quarterback in 2022?
Yeah, I've been pretty consistent with this, Jody. I do not think it's going to be Jalen Hurts, and I hope I'm wrong, which I think I tried to express in the first hour as well. I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson and or a top 5 pick. And that could be, again, we talk about quarterbacks. You like Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields to a certain degree. Everybody's got their own flavor. Is it going to be Sam Howell? Is it going to be Willis, the kid from Liberty? Is it going to be Slovis? Is it going to be Spencer Rattler? And there's a fifth one I can't think of off the top of my head. Kind of depends on what you like, and Howie says it all the time. So I don't think it's going to be Jalen Hurts. I think they'll try for the home run if available, and that's Deshaun Watson. If not, I think it's going to be a top 5 pick. And, you know, it depends how bad they are this year, how much they might have to go up. But they have all the capital to go up if they need to go up and get the quarterback they want.
And that's 2022. You know that my preference for 2022 would have been Justin Fields if they could have been able to get their hands on him. But that's now.
No, they could have. He fell into their laps. They didn't want him, Jody.
I know. They passed, which I think is going to be something that they will look back on. And I don't know about rue the day, but feel, we missed out on an opportunity. But I'm perfectly fine with Jalen Hurts in 2022. I actually think he's going to have a good enough year. You and I discussed this either at the end of last week or previously this week. How much we can talk about the intangibles all day. At some point, he's going to have to put some numbers on a piece of paper. He's going to have to achieve some things, Jalen Hurts. He's going to have to do some things that you can sink your teeth into, not just take his teammates and or his coach's word that, he's delivering all the intangibles. He's going to have to deliver plays and put stats up and throw touchdown passes and accrue wins. I think he's going to be good enough to keep this job. I don't know that it's a given that the Eagles are going in a different direction. I think he's going to be their starting quarterback at the beginning of 2022 as well.
Well, my philosophy has always been I think he's going to be better than people expect. And by people, I mean not necessarily fans. I mean, you have a group of fans that think he's going to be great. So he's not going to be that good. You have a group of fans that think he's going to be terrible. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, as it usually is. But I just know how the Eagles think, and they don't want to be stuck in that quarterback purgatory. We had Ross Tucker on earlier in the week, and he said, 15 to 20 is good enough. I don't think it is good enough for this team. That's just my thought process. In other words, if you're the 15th or 20th best quarterback, they don't want that. They understand you got to be in that top 10. They understand you have to have elite level play at that position to win consistently. Now, it's easy to say that. It's difficult to get it. Can they get it? Can they? They can get it with Deshaun Watson. You know that. Barrett Brooks just talked about definitiveness at the cornerback position. Sometimes you just want somebody who can play. You don't want a prospect. You don't want potential. Give me somebody who can play. Maybe the Eagles go that route with Deshaun Watson because remember, not only can he play, he's also very young, whereas Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are not. So you have a short shelf life there, or shorter, where Watson is a very rare quarterback for obvious reasons that is going to be available in the prime of his career as a top 5 player. I think they will do everything humanly possible to acquire him if it becomes a possibility.
How big is the price going to be on Watson? And we don't even know that Watson's going to become available yet. The Texans have said to this point they're not trading him, which again, it's what we hear and what we believe. None of us believe that they are slamming the door on someone who will come to the table with a very, very big offer for him. I think they will eventually open that door, and I think they'll eventually pull the trigger on a deal. We've got to work our way through all the legal wrangling and get over certain hurdles for him to even become eligible to go somewhere else. But that should happen over time. How high is high? What is the price tag going to be? If you believe the price tag has been discounted some because of all the issues that he has off the field, and if these issues are provable, that's pretty questionable character, and he's going to have to go in and show these intangibles for his new football team that might not be what every single football team wants. But the talent level, as you put it correctly so, and the age is something that just doesn't hit the market. You don't get a chance to acquire a player like this.
Never.
So how high is high? I know the Eagles have 3 first-round picks. Is that only going to be the start of the offer? How much higher are they going to have to go? How many teams are going to be in on the bidding on Deshaun Watson?
You know, it's interesting because there is this theory that it will be discounted because of the problems. However, I don't think anybody is going to make the move unless there's certainty. So to me, the problems aren't going to exist. You might have a 6-game suspension. You might have a 10-game suspension, whatever. But there's going to be some certainty. And at that point, I think it bounces back up. So when people speculate, oh, yeah, you're going to get a discount. Well, you might get a discount today, but nobody's trading for him because they don't want that headache. And if he is, worst case scenario, banned from the NFL, suspended, put in prison, which would be the worst case scenario for him, nobody's going to make the move. So to me, the discount isn't going to apply. Only will a trade come into existence once everything is cleared up, and then it goes right back to where it was, and you start thinking about maybe 3 first-round picks, maybe a player or 2. It's going to be big, Jody. It's going to be a big package.
Huge ask that the Texans are going to have if they move away from Deshaun Watson. And to their credit, and I saw Sills play last year, there were, we had mock guys on, and I talked to a bunch of guys who have opinions on drafted quarterback. I wasn't as big a fan of him as some other guys were, but to use a draft pick. Now, remember, the Texans didn't have draft picks this year. They traded their first and second draft pick in previous trade. They didn't pick until the 3rd round. So to use a 4th round pick on a quarterback when Deshaun Watson is still on your roster kind of tells you something, that they've already made the decision. This is not going to work out here. We're not going to be able to put these pieces back together. There's not going to be any salvaging this. They're going to have to go in another direction, and they have at least a potential quarterback, youth quarterback, young quarterback, to be able to step in and take his place. We'll find out over time.
By the way, they signed it. I think they signed Jeff Driscoll yesterday. They have like 5 quarterbacks now. They're collecting quarterbacks like the Eagles have slot corners.
Right, slot corners. And
I mean, look, they know Deshaun Watson is not playing for them this year, period. End of sentence. The only question is, can things get cleared up and can they move him in time? And that's going to be the interesting part.
We have not heard from Deshaun Watson, and I'm assuming we're not going to hear from Deshaun Watson. Lawyers are smart. They tell you that there's too great a chance that you shoot yourself in the foot. Am I just holding out hope here that at some point we're going to get at least a nugget from him? And am I just whistling in the wind?
Nah, Rusty Harden's too smart. He did post something on Instagram about him working out. So he's still, moving forward with the intent on playing in 2021. And that's why, we talked about it a lot, whether it's Jason LaConfora, Peter King, Diana Rossini. They keep putting 2 and 2 together. But it's not just the Eagles, Jody. It's the Dolphins. It's the Panthers. There will be other people in the mix for Deshaun Watson if and when the time is right. It's not going to just be the Eagles.
And you know, the funny part about it is, and Eagle fans aren't going to want to hear this, the biggest competition might come from right here in the division. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick is a nice hold down the fort 1 year kind of guy. Has become the rent the robo quarterback for teams, and he'll probably make the Washington football team better next year, but he's not the future of anything. They're a big time player, and I'll continue to say this, and I know that I'm ticking off Giant fans everywhere. I don't think Daniel Jones, I think Daniel Jones is basically in the same position, or should be in the same position. Maybe I'm putting him in this position. I don't know if the Giants are, but I think he should be. It's a make it or break it year for him, too. As much as it's a go out and prove it and show it to us Jalen Hurts type year, I think it's the same thing for Daniel Jones. They went out and added more offensive weapons this offseason than maybe any team in football. And they basically come out and said, Daniel Jones, if you're good enough, you can't do this with this offense, then the problem isn't us. The problem is you, Daniel Jones. So I would not be surprised if the Giants were in the mix to try and make a play for a guy like Deshaun Watson this upcoming offseason.
Yeah, I could see the Giants next year if it lasts that long. And as you mentioned, Daniel Jones fails. I can't see them being in the conversation if it happens this year. But you're right. I mean, on paper, the Giants adding Kenny Golladay to what they already had at receiver. And, oh, by the way, Kadarius Toney as well. I'm not as high on him as some other people. But more importantly than anything, Saquon Barkley's back. So, I mean, if that guy's out there for 16 games, that's pretty good. That should help your quarterback a lot. And if you can't succeed with that kind of threat in the backfield with those receivers, they got two tight ends even. They brought in Kyle Rudolph with Eric Ebron. I mean, they got a lot of skill position talent, no question. Now, the offensive line, still yeesh.
If you know this date, please give it to me. I don't off the top of my head, so I'm kind of asking you to pick me up here. The NFL trade deadline. To the NFL's credit, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, they moved it. They've moved it a couple times, as a matter of fact. But for years, it was way too early in the season. It was like week 4. And the philosophy always was it takes time to get up to speed and to learn playbooks. So we want to give the guys a chance. So if you're going to make a trade, you're going to have to do so basically in the first month of the season. But then you've got 3 months to get them up to speed and get them ready for the playoffs. That's why the NFL got the least in-season trades of any sport on the planet. And someone in the commissioner's office was bright enough to go, wait, why aren't we? They get such buzz off the Major League Baseball trade deadline and the NBA trade deadline, and lesser extent, but better than what the NFL used to be, the NHL trade deadline. And we get nothing because nobody ever makes a trade. So they wisely pushed it back. Do you know exactly when it is this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's right around Halloween now. So it's that Tuesday. Last year was Election Day, so it was easy. So it was November 3rd, I believe. So it's right around there, early November, right around Halloween. So
and you think that the Texans quarterback will become a former Texans quarterback before that?
Well, that has everything to do with the legal stuff.
Right.
Look, that nobody has any uncertainty. All I've said is Rusty Hardin seems a little bit more confident lately. That might, I've said it before, the term I use, that might mean nothing. It might be everything. If he's cleared, he's going to be traded by then. No question.
You think that's going to happen with the trade deadline? We shall see. All right. What I see is that we've got a guest who's going to be ready to join us. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, it is the fire plug himself, former Eagle defensive tackle Hollis Thomas, going to hop aboard with us here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Welcome to the Wildwoods, the perfect place where you can safely do everything or nothing at all. Catch a wave, take a nap, go for a drive, grab a bite. It's your vacation, and we're doing everything we can to make it a safe one. The Wildwoods. Your vacation, your way.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at ibew98.org.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
JAKIB! Jody Mack, the legendary sports talker, joins forces with NFL insider John McMullen. Start your morning with Johnny Mack and Jody Mack across the JAKIB Media Network.
Thursday get together here on Birds 365, McDonald and McMullen hanging with you, and we've added a little size to the show. Neither John nor I is undersized, but we are not extra large. Our next guest is. That's what kept him in the National Football League for years. Disruptor along the defensive line. Hollis Thomas joins us here on Birds 365. Been a minute, Hollis. How you been, buddy?
Pretty good. It's been quite some time. Jody Mack, how you been?
I'm doing well. You look good, my friend. You look like you could go out and play.
Thanks, man. I just try to maximize my sexy being a single young man. You know, you can't walk up on ladies looking a mess.
I love the damn Skippy and the Hollis Thomas right there. But yeah, Hollis, we had Barrett Brooks on as well. We got a trenches show, and you're on the defensive side of the ball for us. So I want to start you off with the Eagles' defensive line, since that's obviously your expertise. Changed from Jim Schwartz to Jonathan Gannon. You got Tracy Rocker, the D-line coach. What do you see from the talent of this team, starting with Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and then you talk about the young guys and Milton Williamses of the world? A little bit different from your time, but how do you think these pieces fit?
Well, initially, when they drafted the kid in the third round, I was But if you want to start with Fletcher Cox, I think this defense will actually, I think it'll be better for them. Mainly because you have, if they do get a linebacker, which we haven't had in quite some time, a lot of people keep on talking about our secondary, which has got a bunch of holes in it, and then they start talking about the front not getting that much pressure. But the front seven is never going to get no pressure without a true quarterback in the middle. We don't have a safety, and we don't have a middle linebacker. So those guys can only do so much. But I think being with Gannon and the way and the style of defense that they're talking about playing, I think it'll help out the guys in the trenches a whole lot more. I think they'll be less tired at the end of the game. We'll be able to fight more, longer, and better. But I think they'll spend less time on the field, especially if they go the ways of the Indianapolises and the Minnesotas and the defenses that Gannon's been a part of.
Do you think, and I'm not sure if you broken down film on the guy, but I know you've seen him play some, the Eric Wilson acquisition, he played a lot for Minnesota, and he made plays for Minnesota. Now, he was getting opportunities because some pretty good Minnesota linebackers got hurt last year, but I thought it was a pretty damn good signing by the Eagles during the offseason. The way you described the linebacker that the Eagles need, is Eric Wilson capable of filling that role for the Birds?
Well, I think we're going to find out pretty much because somebody else said, why was he on the street, so to speak? And I was like, if you pay attention to some of the acquisitions, the coaches are going to get guys that they're familiar with and they can run their scheme and that they know that are pretty decent. Yeah, and you put him on some one-year deals, some one-year mercenary deals. It's to prove it to me. We're not totally invested in you, so this is his opportunity to prove it. He did good at spot duty last year. He was an undrafted guy, so every time he's got the opportunity, he sees the second. To me, that's great for us, especially this year, because we should get the best out of him. And he's the kind of linebacker that we've been looking for. If you've noticed, we've passed on pretty much every linebacker, whether it was to draft a player that's hurt twice in Sydney, and everybody keeps talking about the kid out of Alabama who we drafted this year, passed on some tremendous linebackers. I don't like drafting. It's kind of like going out and buying dented canned goods. I'm not buying dented canned goods and paying undented prices. So it remains to be seen. Everybody keeps talking about what he can do. Prove it to me. You haven't been healthy for an entire season, and yet we're still here talking about that particular position because every time we go into the draft, we do a head scratching thing, especially the second round. We've done Sidney Jones, and now this kid, who everybody says is good, but he hasn't been healthy for an entire one entire college season, which pissed me off to no end when I saw it happening.
Yeah. So, Hollis, you mentioned something interesting to me when you talked about the shift in the coaching staff, and maybe it's going to help out the defensive line. Maybe they were a little gassed, a lot of wide nine under Jim Schwartz, more of a, I guess, a movement-based front if you think about what Mike Zimmer does, and maybe that's the direction Jonathan Gannon goes. How does that help a defensive line when you talk about fourth quarter?
Well, it gives you an opportunity to do some movements and not be stagnant all the time. If you looked at Jim Schwartz's defense, even when we tried to blitz, it looked pathetic because you don't practice it. It's like I think it'll be more blitzes. There'll be more movement based, and when you move and stuff, you're not always where the offense wants you to be. So you might be over here, then you may move on the snap of the rock. There should be some other sub style blitzes, some zone pressures, and some other things that we hadn't seen them do in quite some time. And it'll be refreshing to see something other than the damn wide nine. It'll be refreshing to see a quarterback not be able to stand back there and pat the ball a few times because they've put max protection up, or they've just kept an extra person in to block four.
Let me get your expertise on a former Eagles defensive lineman, as in just this past year. They made an aggressive move, went out and got Malik Jackson a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, the first year goes by the board with an injury, knocks him out for the entire year. Returned last year. They went out and got Hargrave as well, so they really bolstered up the defensive tackle position. I thought Malik Jackson was okay last year. I knew there was a good chance the Eagles weren't going to be able to retain him because the contract was too big, and that's exactly what happened. He ended up jumping ship. How would you have graded Malik Jackson's year last year?
He was inconsistent. He was inconsistent, and he got a bunch of unnecessary penalties in different situations. A bunch of unnecessary roughness penalties, a bunch of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, which is detrimental to the team. And to me, it's selfish. You know what the hell you're doing. Unnecessary roughness and unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, it kills the defense. And other than that, when Fletcher Cox got hurt, both of those guys disappeared. So to me, they weren't earning their keep. And it's like when you don't earn your keep and you give them a reason to go out and shop for more stuff, that's only your fault. So it's pretty much his fault he's not here, because if he was making plays, we'll be having this conversation.
and that same, yeah.
Go ahead. Now, what I was going to say was, well, at your position, when everybody starts talking about we need somebody at the position, and they're chirping, it's mainly because you're not doing what the hell you're supposed to be doing. So if you want people to stop saying that, what do? You go out and you do it. You do what you're supposed to do. You do your job.
Hollis, in that same vein, Javon Hargrave, because he came over from Pittsburgh and played the 3-4. So to me, early in the season, he looked like he was trying to find his way.
Right.
But he got better as the season went on and on. Did you see the same kind of thing?
I saw a little bit of the same thing. I saw once he started learning what to do and how to do it. It's kind of like a guy with you feel your way around. You know what to do, but instinct. You want to get a guy to where he's moving instinctively instead of just kind of knowing the answer. It's kind of like in class when you know the answer, you kind of like you think you know the answer. You like, instead of when you know the answer, it's different. You think you know the answer. You know the answer. That's what you want. Defensively, that's what you want. So when a guy knows the answer and he's hitting people in the mouth, we're not having these conversations about people at their position. I've been with Jody and all these guys for quite some time. And when I played, I used to get pissed because sometimes they'd be talking about my position, and then I started thinking, I was like, well, hell, if I was doing my job, they wouldn't be talking about getting rid of me.
All right. Well, and I'm gonna turn back the clock with you again, Hollis.
Okay.
And ask you about when you played.
Okay.
One of my favorite plays, watching football on a week in, week out basis, is the defensive line stunt. I love it when a perfectly timed defensive line stunt gets a guy into the backfield and he gets his hands on the quarterback. Now, I'm trying to remember your career as best I could. I think you probably have a better grasp on it. You weren't a major stunting guy. You weren't the guy who was going to be sneaking outside and using his speed to get to the quarterback because they didn't see it coming. Maybe it was effective because they didn't see it coming because you didn't do it all that often. Who was your best teammate to stunt with?
Well, you know what? At the first couple of years, I learned how to stunt and be really, really good at it. So I could do the stunts with everybody, because what I learned from my coaches and from what was it, Mike Turkovic and Tommy Brazier, don't be selfish in the stunt. If the stunt, if you're meant to come free, you're going to come free. So they used to. I used to just try to get a good stunt. I used to get good stunts with Hugh Douglas, with Corey Simon, because as long as you're not selfish, eventually you're gonna come free, or you may come free. If sometimes you have to give yourself up, and when you give yourself up, sometimes they're not expecting that, because you're the penetrator, and the loopers sometimes comes around free, and when you come around as a looper, don't always expect to be free. Expect there maybe to be some work there, and if you expect there to be some work there, you will destroy it, because you've got up some speed, weight, and hand position. So I used to love to do all the stunts because it gave me an opportunity to move instead of somebody double teaming me all the time.
All right, Hollis, as long as we're reminiscing, I want to take you back to, I guess, 96, when you were undrafted, coming out of college, and obviously you lasted 13 years, I think, in this league.
15 to be exact, but who's counting?
Yeah, but so a long time. Barrett Brooks just told us a story. He remembered, I want to see if you remember this, when they were looking at your highlight tape, you had Eric B. and Rakim on there as music.
Right.
And I wanted to know if you did that on purpose to get people get excited to watch the highlights.
Well, yeah, I had to pick. In picking music at the time, gangster rap was the thing to do. A lot of curse words. You go with the people who saying what you're trying to say. The song was "I Ain't No Joke" by Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah,
and there was another song by Eric B. and Rakim called "How Can I Move the Crowd?" Move the crowd. And then the last song was "Can I Get Down" by Rest His Soul is Craig Mack. So I try to pick the songs, but I pick small excerpts from each song to show what I was doing on tape, and and pretty much like you said, to be catchy, and it worked eventually.
And it worked, Yeah, it worked
eventually, because I was coming from Northern Illinois, so at that time we were not highly touted in the football.
Yeah.
In the football region.
Over the years, did any undrafted guys come, once you got entrenched in the league, did any undrafted guys come up to you and say, look, how'd you do this? How'd you get the eye of the coaching staff? How'd you accomplish this?
Well, I think a lot of guys did what I did, but I don't think they did it to the extent that I did it probably. And you know what it's like, they didn't really come up. You just got that air of respect. More respect than a draft pick gets, because when draft picks, what I have learned, when draft picks come in, and actually the funny thing is, we were just talking about this the other day. Guys who get drafted later and guys who come in as free agents, you come in with a chip on your shoulder because you feel like everybody skipped you over and they don't think you belong. So you spend all your time trying to kick people in the teeth to let them know that you belong there. And that chip grows, and the guys who kind of like piss the opportunity away tend to be those guys who are gifted, who are drafted in the first and second round. It's kind of funny to me. I was talking to some of the executives, and you see some guys with tremendous talent, and once they get to the NFL, it's like, where the hell did they go? It's like, well, they stop working on their craft. They get lazy, and they get complacent and too confident, and then when somebody kicks them in the teeth, they don't know which way to go. So you come in with a chip on your shoulder, and then once you learn that it's a job, and then everybody keeps – I don't know if you guys have spoken about this, but they keep talking about time off and not doing things competitively. Your job is to be an NFL player. Your job is to put people in the stands. Your job is to entertain the masses of your team. And it's like when you start talking that bull crap about it's voluntary, the voluntary minicamps, but if you want to be on the team, I know point blank, you can't walk in off the street and play football. You have to practice. You have to not even reinvent yourself. You have to retrain yourself each and every year. And what you're seeing now is a bunch of guys with crappy habits who think that they're working out and all this and that, and then they get hurt when they get into real football, because nothing, I'm telling you, nothing can get you ready for playing football but playing football. And guys are getting mad because you get hurt on your own. If you get hurt off the job, I'm not paying you. You didn't get hurt on my watch. We have a program here where you also get paid to come in. We're not asking you to do anything extra, but we actually you coming in and you get paid to come in. It's like it's your job. It's your job to stay in shape. And you get hurt somewhere, and now you're bitching and moaning because they don't want to pay your salary. Well, you did get hurt. You did not get hurt at work. You might have got hurt doing work things because you don't want to be here. If you don't want to be at work, don't bitch and moan when you don't get hurt at work and you're not getting paid from work.
Hollis making some excellent points about how the game has changed.
Yeah.
Let me take you down another road on that.
Okay.
Again, been a couple of years since you were out. You stayed as long in the league as you did. So back when you first came in, the way the game was officiated was a little different than it is today. And sorry, Mr. Defensive Tackle, almost every change in officiating seems to benefit the offense.
Yes, it does.
Everything is to allow the offense to get the ball down the field more often, quicker, and putting points on the board. Could you play in the NFL today?
I would probably have to adjust. The things that they're doing today is so excuse my French, bitchy, and so it's like it's horrible. You have to lay down the quarterback and give him a shiatsu massage, or it's a penalty. They make the most. They make the most on the team, point blank, and you can't hit them with a quality legal hit. You have to get just after getting beat up by two guys, or one or two guys. You have to come under control and hit them between their shoulders, not up here, and above their knees. It's called football for a reason. It's a gladiator-esque type sport. If you're weak at heart, like a lot of the guys they keep talking about, all the gladiators, those guys are not gladiators. It's no fear factor coming over the middle anymore. You catch the ball coming over the middle. Yeah. You might get somebody who may lay a legal hit in, but I guarantee you, some blind son of an onion from the officiating team is going to lob a flag from the other side of the field, which he probably wasn't watching. The officiating stinks now, point blank. It's kind of it messes up the game sometimes when they make the game about more than them. They're supposed to be seen and not heard. It's like I see holding every play, but they don't call that.
Yeah,
and the officials in general, they stink. If you don't know anything, the egregious calls that didn't get called on the Saints. For the Saints.
Oh yeah, in the championship game.
Yeah. And then you find out that the guy who didn't make the call was it was 4. I don't know if you guys remember that play. There was 4 penalties in that one play. There was illegal contact and hitting the defensive receiver, the pass interference, and the guy he didn't make any of the calls.
Yeah, and that was the Cal Roby Coleman too.
Yeah, we had Roby Coleman. Yeah, which he got a lot of penalties. But when you look at all the penalties and the offense is still getting their ass kicked, unless you know how soft offensive players are.
Speaking of, you said, Hollis, you're talking about working out and off, away from the facility and guys not coming in and there's no 7-on-7, there's no 11-on-11,
but there's no 1-on-1 pass rush, and they don't want anything that's competitive. What the hell do you think you're playing?
Yeah, now there's no mandatory minicamp now. They scrapped that. So, but I'm sure you have all these guys with personal tutors around the country. So, there's pass rush guys, there's offensive line guys, there's quarterback guys, and I never saw more 4.3s in my life when you're talking about combine and pro days and receivers running.
Yep.
Are these guys practicing for combine drills or are they practicing for football?
They're practicing combine drills because as soon as they get into camp, they pull a hammy, or they strain a quad, or they twisting the ankle. You're not. It's just like I just said. You're not going to be able to play football unless you practice football with the people that you're playing with and against. All those people who get you in shape. That's cool for we got the longest off season of any sport. That's cool for the off season leading up to you having to be here and getting your ass in shape and ready for football. See what they're giving us is a bum product even with training camp. Training camp is a country club now. Yeah. So you tell me now you don't get to do really anything competitive until training camp. It's going to be the first few games of the season and the preseason are going to look like a pile of dung, point blank, a big old pile of it. Because as a defensive lineman, as a lineman in general, you those camps help you out. Each rep helps you out, helps you get your footwork down, your hand placement. It teaches you to get back into the mode of having low pad level. You're going to see a lot of guys that are going to be pretty much standing up fighting as a big dog, and you're going to see a lot of guys pulling hamstrings and having soft tissue injuries because you haven't practiced playing football and got yourself in ready. No matter what you do, nothing gets you ready for football like football.
Pile of dung. That's going to be a word picture that stays with me all day long. I appreciate that, Hollis. Do want to run this one by you.
Yeah.
You played for a bunch of different coaches, different teams, certainly different personalities with the guy with the biggest whistle of all. Nick Sirianni is 113 days into his era here in Philadelphia. We've not seen him coach a play yet, let alone an entire game yet. We've judged him off what he said in the press conferences and how he's handled his business to the point. Is Nick Sirianni the kind of coach you could have played for?
Yeah, I've seen him on a few different occasions. I was cracking up because everybody was making a big deal out of what he said and what he did. This is the guy's first coaching job. The thing that stuck with me was competition at each and every position, earning your job. We've been in an era of Eagles football where we've seen people being given their job, and I was getting sick and tired of guys getting complacent because they think that you haven't earned anything. I.e., Carson Wentz. Everybody you ran Nick Foles out of town. And now you get pissed off because you lead the league in interceptions and they finally take your happy ass out. I'm getting sick and tired of complacent jerks not earning their keep. Point blank. You can't get mad because somebody takes you out because you're stinking up the joint. When you stink up the joint, sit your ass down and try to get back out there. That's the only thing you can do. Don't go over there and pout and stuff. And everybody was saying, "Oh, he's being such a great teammate." No, the hell he's not. He's been asking to get out of town since Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. And everybody told him, well, how are you going to let him go? Because he had an MVP-style season. No, he didn't. He didn't win. He got hurt. So you haven't done anything for me. Sorry, I went on a tangent there because people were pissing me off with that Carson Wentz stuff and not earning your job. But that was the main thing in listening to him. And kind of just knowing him as a coach a little. I only know him a little bit, and he's extremely competitive. And the other thing that he said that I really loved was everybody wasn't probably paying attention because he was kind of buffooning it around a little bit. But he said he was going to put the guys that he had in optimal positions to maximize their ability. Now, when you hear a coach say that, he doesn't have just a single scheme like with the wide nine. Or when Chip Kelly came here, they came with that crappy 3-4 and tried to make people out of outside linebackers to the defensive end. Those are college-esque coaches that are not going to last. When a coach says that he's going to maximize the potential, or not even the potential, the skill set of each player and use them to help the team, you love to hear that because you know you're going to get some plays, but you have to do them well, or that your number's not going to get called again. So those are two things that stuck with me: competition and putting players in optimal position to maximize their skill set.
Yeah, and I think the positive part to that, Hollis, if you look at Nick Sirianni in Indianapolis, they had Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, three very different quarterbacks over 3 years, and they managed to have a good offense
one decent kid and two overrated bums to me.
Yeah.
Two turnover machines, and one guy that quit on them right in it, and then thought nobody was supposed to know in the preseason.
But three different quarterbacks. That's important to me because you build your offense around the quarterback and what he does well.
The one thing, John, that I did like that Nick Sirianni and Frank Reich was able to do with Phillip Rivers was cut out the turnovers. He had 10 less interceptions than his previous season. Yeah. So, and I watched a lot of their games because I like Frank Reich is my guy. Yeah. He was like and they actually protected Phillip Rivers from himself. He was sticking up the joint in a few games, and they started running the ball and throwing screen plays. So if they had had a quarterback with a little bit more accuracy and less gunslinger-esseness, they might have been playing in a NFC Championship against Kansas City.
If Frank Reich is your guy, apparently he didn't consult you about Carson Wentz because you weren't very complimentary about Carson Wentz just a couple of minutes ago. Your boy Frank thinks he's got a winner out there. He's singing his praise. He's ready to put his neck out for Carson Wentz.
Well, he didn't do too much of putting his neck out there. I don't think we didn't even get a first-round pick for Carson. So that's not stretching neck out, and you really don't have a quarterback. So you know a guy. This kind of goes back to Nick Sirianni and them. They know some guys and Gannon. They know some guys, so they're going to bring some guys in. See, Frank Reich knows what he has in Carson, But I guarantee you he has no qualms or trepidations about letting his ass go or sitting his ass down. And he will do what Frank Reich said. That was the complacent part there. Once Frank Reich left, apparently Carson was changing plays and doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. And sticking up the joint doing it to me. And and watching it made my eyes bleed a little bit.
All right. Hollis, last one from me, and I want to thank you for joining us. I hope the move went well for you. But, you know, Brooks was talking to us earlier, and he gave us Jumpy Geathers as somebody who is incredibly strong on the defensive line. You're known as a guy who can't be moved off the ball. Give me the strongest offensive lineman, the guy who could maybe at least attempt to push you off the ball a little bit that you played against.
You know, I used to go against Larry Allen a lot. And we actually used to battle, and the coaches used to say I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be doing what I was doing because it started happening from my early years when I first got to the Eagles. They said I didn't know any better, but I used to like the battles with him. Will Shields was really good. Brian Waters, the guys I'm speaking of, you had to come with your A game. This is another guy, Bruce Matthews. He wasn't strong, but when I went against him, he was crafty. And I would just try to get those guys all that they wanted. It would be pretty much like an epic battle of like Gort versus Godzilla, something like that. King Kong versus Godzilla, some epic battle like that on the interior. And I used to kick the crap out of Randall McDaniel. He sucked to me.
Oh, that's a Hall of Famer. Wow.
Yeah, kick the crap out of Randall McDaniel.
Go back and look when he played, when he was supposedly good in Minnesota when I think it was my first or second year, and I destroyed him. His lunch was I destroyed it when he played for Tampa Bay too on the playoff game. I had 4 tackles and a sack. Go look it up.
All right. Wow.
And what's the other? Pretty much all the guards there's a couple of guards that's in the Hall of Fame who I took their lunch, basically. I have over 600 tackles in the NFL.
Yeah.
and a lot of them were behind the line of scrimmage, and a lot of them was destroying guys who everybody was highly touting. I was like, I don't know what the hell y'all talking about.
All right, here's what we learned today. Hollis still doesn't like anybody on the offensive side of the ball. He doesn't have any use for anybody on the offensive side of the ball. Number 2, he can still trash talk with the best of them.
Yeah. Randall, I love the Randall McDaniel, man. That guy.
You didn't know that? Yeah. I used to destroy him.
Yeah.
Actually, because this is it's quick story for you guys. We played Minnesota when they had Robert Smith, Brad Johnson, and all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was playing left defensive tackle. He was playing the other side, guard. And remember we had Red Hall. You remember Red Hall?
Yeah.
So Mike Turkovic said, he's like, come here. They used to call me Baby T. So come here, Baby T. He said, go over on the other side and just run that guy over. I was like, okay. So when the ball snapped, I actually have it on my highlight reel. Before Brad Johnson can get the ball out of his hand, I'm already back there trying to destroy him. And, and guess who the guard was?
Randall McDaniel.
Okay. All you see is the 6'4" go up into the air and go back.
Oh. I'm going to ask you the most important question of the day.
Okay.
You can see you're well hydrated, but what's for lunch?
I don't know what's for lunch. Probably. I'm leaning through. I'm trying to do a little healthier thing now.
Get out of here! I don't believe it.
I know.
Stop it!
I was just going to say a double cheeseburger. It was going to be on the grill though. It was going to be on the flame broiled grill though. So.
He's down from a triple cheeseburger to a double cheeseburger.
Yeah, double cheeseburger. I need the protein. I'm a man.
Yeah, you are. No one has ever questioned that. Hollis, you are the man. We appreciate you coming out with us today. We'll get back with you in a little bit. Thanks for hopping on.
All right, no problem. If you guys want to find me, you can find me. I'm on the Green Legion Radio, on the Green Legion channel on YouTube, or I'm on iTunes on Fox Sports, The Gamble in Philadelphia, 102.5 FM on Saturdays 1 to 3. But throughout the week, you can catch me downloading my podcast, Get Stanked Happy Hour. each and every week of Monday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. or whenever I get tired and a little inebriated. So, and other than that, at KEWLMF on Instagram, I post all my stuff. So I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Our pleasure, and we will be checking you out. We will get you back on with us again. Thanks,
all right, thank you, man. Appreciate you guys.
Hollis Thomas here with us on Birds 365. Still talking trash. I love it. He's ready to go out and own Randall McDaniel again.
Greatest offensive lineman of all time, according to people in this league. And Hollis is eating his lunch. I got to go back and look at that.
Smash him in the face, too, while he was at it. He is John McMullen. I am Jody McDonald. We'll come back, put a bow on the show. Last couple of minutes of Birds 365 coming your way.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull beef jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Welcome to the Wildwoods, the perfect place where you can safely do everything or nothing at all. Catch a wave, take a nap, go for a drive, grab a bite. It's your vacation, and we're doing everything we can to make it a safe one. The Wildwoods. Your vacation, your way.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 to 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at ibew98.org.
In the Wildwoods, our free beaches are spacious and welcoming with plenty of room to spread out. Your seat will be waiting for you when you're ready to visit. The Wildwoods, creating cherished family memories for generations.
JAKIB! Jody Mack, the legendary sports talker, joins forces with NFL insider John McMullen. Start your morning with Johnny Mack and Jody Mack across the JAKIB Media Network.
J Mac here with you with my buddy J Mac. It's Mega Mac, the Birds 365 duo who are coming to the close of another show. Got to thank both our guests today. They were both outstanding, Barrett Brooks and Hollis Thomas. Quick aside, John. I'd say over the years, somewhere between 5 and 10 shows with Hollis. Not a ton, but not just one show out. I sat down, hosted with him. Shoot, 8, 9, 10 times, whatever it was. And one of the perks of radio is from time to time, if you do commercials for a good restaurant in town, they've been known to drop off some food at the radio station for you to be able to talk up when you're doing a live spot for them and the like.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of times I was doing shows with Hollis when we got food deliveries. You wanted to keep your hands back because you could have lost a finger. That boy can eat. He could put it away like nobody's business. So whenever we find out I'm doing a show at house of food delivery, Hollis, go out and get what you want first. I didn't want to interrupt Hollis Thomas and his eating habits. You go get everything that you want, and I'll have whatever's left over, Hollis. But please go fill your plates, plural, as much as you want ahead of time, and then I'll see what's left.
I get it. Yeah,
I had to ask him about dinner because the boy can put it away.
He's a powerful guy. There's a reason for that. I mean, one of the things, I love the old school mentality. I love that, number one. I love the trash talk. I mean, and he's not I had to look up McDaniel. He's not trash talking anybody.
No.
NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team, 9-time first team All-Pro, not Pro Bowl. All-Pro, 9 times. And I remember when he came out, the whole thing was he ran a 4.6 at like, I don't know, 290. But he was also a powerlifting champion. And he could deadlift like 660 pounds. And Hollis is moving him. That's impressive.
Talking some serious smack was Mr. Thomas when he was on with us. He's good dude. Fun dude to have on. We'll throw him up every once in a while. All right. You got any media availability today?
Yeah, I'm expecting to talk to Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, Michael Clay, and a couple players. We'll see.
Very nice.
First time we get to talk to the coordinators. So obviously Nick Sirianni runs the offensive side, but hey, Jonathan Gannon's got a lot on his plate. We talked about it a lot on the show with Barrett and Hollis. Linebackers, cornerbacks, lot of things to answer.
You know what Jonathan Gannon's got going for him? He was actually named the defensive coordinator. Yeah. Unlike the quarterback position where they don't want to name a starter. Jonathan Gannon's actually been named the DC. So he's in good stead with the head coach.
Hey, he's still competing. Nick Sirianni said that. I'm competing. Gannon's competing. He used the name. Gannon is competing. He used that name.
We'll see if you can get him to compete with you on the Zoom quest today. J-Mac, good show today. Always a pleasure, buddy. Let's try this again in 22 hours. What do you think?
Let's do it.
We'll get you right back here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.